Let's go to our Abuja studio where we'll be talking about Mr. Ize-Iyamu, who has emerged as a consensus candidate of the Oshomole-led faction of the All Progressives Congress APC in Edo State to contest for the ticket of the party ahead of the governorship election in that state. Channels Television gathered that Mr. Ize-Iyamu was named in the Abuja meeting of the group with the committee set up by the Oshomole group to screen about 8 aspirants from the group. The committee was set up to help the faction agree on a common front. The agreed candidate has obtained the nomination form of the party today ahead of the primaries. Mr. Ize-Iyamu will be squaring up at the primaries with the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, who has been at loggerheads with his predecessor over the past months, a matter which has generated a series of political crises within the APC. Last week, a former national chairman of the APC, Chief John Oyegun, disclosed that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, said Edo and Ondo state governors who are serving out their first terms should be given a chance of forced refusal in the race. Mr. Ize-Iyamu was the Edo PDP candidate at the last governorship election in the state. He returned to the APC in November last year. Earlier today on Channels Television, the governor, Godwin Obaseki, says he's confident of returning to power as a first man of the state because power comes from God. Let's speak with Mr. Ize-Iyamu. He joins us from Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Ize-Iyamu, for joining us tonight on the program. You have emerged as the consensus candidate from the Oshomole faction, but are you aware of the fact that the president wants a chance of forced refusal from Mr. Godwin Obaseki?
Well, Sheung, I want to thank you for inviting me to your program, but let me quickly correct a misconception, and that is the label Oshomole faction. There's nothing like that. Oshomole is not in any faction in Edo State. Oshomole, as of today, remains the national chairman of the APC. So if the governor has problems with him, that does not mean that those who respect his position as national chairman belong to a faction led by him. Adams Oshomole is not leading any faction, and I think it's a very wrong label, and I want to appeal to channels to remove that label. Yes, Godwin Obaseki, the governor of the state, wants to come back as governor, and yes, a lot of the leaders of the APC in the state do not agree with that, but that does not mean that those who do not agree with him belong to a faction led by the national chairman. I think that basically is an insult because he has conducted himself as a national chairman, and if the governor is perturbed by his refusal to do what he did for him the first time, which is more or less impose him on the people, he does not want to do that anymore, there's no reason why anybody should say that he's leading a faction in Edo State. It's not leading a faction in Edo State. We have a right to aspire, and the statement you alluded to by Chief Odige Oyegun has not been corroborated by anybody. And of course, you know that the president that we have is not the kind of president that will make such a statement. It's a president we know who is determined to ensure that we have democracy in our country. People are allowed to aspire for positions. And today, I went to collect the APC form. If truly the president had closed the door, I'm sure that they will not even sell forms to anybody. But they are selling forms, not only to me, but as many people as want to buy forms. So that will tell you that there's no such instruction, and there can never be. Is the governor who has said that his second term is non-negotiable? I'm surprised he's not bringing God into it, because a man who says my second term is non-negotiable is telling you that even God cannot interfere, that his second term is beyond God, it's beyond the party, and nobody can say anything about it. And maybe that's the crux of the problem, because he believes that he has gone into a position where nobody can even suggest to him that he cannot come back. But he doesn't own Edo State, and the party that put him there, they have a right to determine who will go there again. And the exercise must be a free and transparent one. So the so-called suggestion that the president said that they have the right of first refusal is false. There's no such statement, please.
Okay, let's clarify, because what journalism is all about is fact and the truth. There is a fact that Mr. Adams Oshiomhole is a national chairman of the APC. That's a fact, isn't it? There is also a fact, and may be corrected if you think it's wrong, that you do not agree with the Godwin Obaseki. You are members of the same party, but you do not agree. So what better language do you suggest could be used other than faction? Because I stand to be corrected. You are a group within the APC under the Oshiomhole leadership, and there is another group loyal to the Godwin Obaseki, the governor of the party. So other than the word faction, what word do you think is applicable so that we can use it going forward, Mr. Ize-Iyamu?
This is not the first time that we have persons contesting for one office. It's normal in a democracy. You have a lot of people contesting for governor, for senate. That does not suggest that the party is factionalized. It only means that they have a lot of people who are vying for the same office. And of course, by the time the primaries are over, everybody will unite and come together. And that's the same thing I think will also happen in Edo. And then number two, what I find wrong is trying to bring the national chairman into it. The kind of leaders we have in Edo State are leaders who are strong in their own right. And if they believe that the governorship of the party cannot be the birthright of the incumbent governor, it would be very wrong for anybody to suggest that they are doing so because they belong to Adams Oshiomole's faction. They brought him from nowhere before, and they have a right to also say that, well, they want to look elsewhere. The reality is that the APC in Edo had the choice of losing the state to the opposition or changing the governor. And I think majority of the leaders have the opinion that the party must not be lost to the opposition, but rather the governor who does not believe that the party exists should give way for somebody that can carry the party along and at the same time govern the state well. Because I can tell you that in the past 1-2 years, the state has been shut down by unnecessary tension. And all this tension arises from the governor's posture that his second term is not negotiable. Yes, he has a right to run for second term, but that should not be at the detriment of governance. Governance has taken a back seat, nothing is happening, and all we see are talks being mobilized, either to the airport to scare away political opponents, or you are calling rallies and you are saying nobody can hold rallies, or you are bulldozing houses of people who are opposed to you. You can't do such things and expect that investors will come to your state. World Bank projects in Edo State have come to a halt. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. I'm ashamed to see the figures that the governor is now recording for COVID-19. At the beginning, we all warned him, lock down the state, he refused, and said the economy of the state is such that it cannot be locked down. Yet Lagos locked down, Delta locked down, Rivers locked down, and he was talking about an economy that is non-existent because you've done nothing to encourage it. Instead, your statements are scaring away potential investors. So what you are even talking about is self-created, and it's unfortunate. So coming to talk about Adams Oshiomohole is an insult. Adams Oshiomohole, for God's sake, is the national chairman of the party.
Yeah, let's take a break. And when we come back, there are more issues to talk about on your journey to this point and going forward in the APC and ahead of the governorship election. We still have Mr. Femi Falana on the program. Of course, Mr. Femi Adesina will also be joining us later on the show. Don't go anywhere. We just got started. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's get back to our conversation with Mr. Osage Ize-Iyamu, popularly called Pastor Ize-Iyamu, a politician, and now he's obtained the nomination form of the APC to contest in the governorship election. He will be squaring up against the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, at the primaries. Thank you so much, Mr. Ize-Iyamu, for joining us tonight. It is a political convention world over where presidential system of government is operated, or democratic system of government is operated, where you give an incumbent a chance of forced refusal when there's a possibility of a renewal of office. Do you think it's right to give Mr. Obaseki a chance of forced refusal?
Well, Sheun, let me again, I'm sorry, but in mentioning my name, you said Mr. Ize-Iyamu, popularly called Pastor Ize-Iyamu. I'm a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, a senior pastor. So it's not a question about being popularly called. It's an ordination from the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and I'm a practicing pastor and Christian, politics aside. So I would like to just quickly clarify that. Whatever you want to say, you need to look at the constitution of the APC. You talk about convention in the absence of a constitution. The constitution of the APC, which I was privileged to be one of those who drafted, do not recognize what you call the right of first refusal. If you want to contest for an election, whether you've been there before or you've not been there before, you must go through the process. If you are popular and you have a record, it gives you a good advantage to be able to win the race. But to expect that because you are an incumbent, automatically others will step aside for you, is not in the constitution of the APC. So you cannot be talking about the convention when you have a written constitution. The constitution of the APC is quite clear. And I'm sure you are not telling us that we should drop the constitution of the APC and begin to follow what you call a convention. The convention is clear, and performance is subjective. I listened to the tape just now when the governor said, oh, Edo people think have done well. I'm an Edo person. To be honest with you, I don't think so. And there are very many people like me who don't think so. So it's natural for somebody to think he's dancing well, but a lot of times you need to listen to those who are watching you and get the correct opinion. I can tell him very clearly and dispassionately that for majority of us, he has not done well. We have even shied away from criticizing him because we're in the same party. If we were in opposite parties, the criticism would have been a lot louder, But because we don't want to lose our state, it will be better for us to look for a way to quietly ease him out. And that will happen by the time we do our primaries. So there's nothing like first refusal. If he's very popular, if he thinks he has done well, then convince party members. If you convince them and they buy it, they will support you. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. The primaries is not going to be done by people from outside the state. It will be done by people in those states. So let them vote for you, let them support you, and then you get the second-term ticket, and automatically, all of us will support you.
Yamu, I would like to ask you, you seem to be confident about the primaries. Are you confident of defeating Mr. Obaseki at the primaries?
Yes, you see, the truth about it is this. Primaries are done by political parties. And those who vote are party members. So when you think party members are not important, when you think party members are not relevant, then the issue is who's going to vote for you. I listened to his telephone conversation just now. I'm happy that for a man who said the second-term ticket is not negotiable, now realizes that there is God and that God has a say. But at the same time, he has spoken with disdain about men. No man can do anything. But God has given men the privilege to vote for who they want. So if you say men are not important and men are irrelevant, just like you despise God at the beginning, and then you want them to vote for you, how are you going to win? This nomination will not be done in government house. Nomination is not going to be done by government appointees. Nomination will be done by party members. The same party members that you have insulted, that you speak about with disdain, that you refer to as if they are criminals, people who voted for you, people who risked their life for you. So how are you going to win? So he is the one that needs to be rigged in to be able to win. In a free and fair election, there's no way he can stand. There's no way. So I'm very confident that by the time we do the primaries, I will emerge as the candidate. There's no doubt about it.
Quickly, Mr. Ize-Iyamu, which mode of primaries would you prefer? Because we understand that there's an adoption of the direct mode of primaries.
Not a question of preference. You cannot be contesting and want to determine what the rules will be. You must subject yourself to the rules. And the rules will come from the party. The constitution of the APC is quite clear. The National Working Committee, they are the ones to organize primaries. And of course, they have three options. They could be consensus, which of course, the governor has made impossible by his attitude. It could be direct, it could be indirect. For me, any of these options is acceptable. But from what I've heard, the party in their wisdom have said they want direct primaries. And I'm surprised that the governor and some of his people are talking about indirect primaries. And what even makes it more shocking is the fact that they want to use COVID-19 as an excuse. If it's COVID-19 you want to talk about, then indirect primaries is a no-no. Because indirect primaries means bringing delegates, thousands of them, to one place. That is dangerous. On the other hand, if you are doing direct primaries, it means you want to decentralize the process and move the numbers to their different wards in such a way that it will become manageable. And that by the time you follow social distancing and all the protocols, you'll be able to do that thing effortlessly. But what they don't even understand is that to be able to do indirect primaries, you need to elect delegates. How do you elect delegates? You have to go and vote for them in the ward, which is the same thing as direct primaries. So maybe they don't understand what it means
So,
to do indirect. To do indirect means that you must first do direct before you do indirect.
Because of our time, we have to touch on one or two more issues. But you, the man you're working with now, the national chairman of the APC, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, you were a political arch rival to this man 4 years ago or so when you contested on the platform of the PDP. 7 years ago when he was also seeking a re-election, you fought him very hard. Between now and then, what has changed?
You are mistaken, Shehu. Normally you have the facts, but you are mistaken. The 7 years ago when he was seeking the election, I was the director general of his campaign. I was not fighting him.
You left at some
point. For your
point.
information, he won the 18 local governments. We won everywhere in the state, working together. So two of us have worked together in his first election, in his second election. I didn't have any problem supporting him in his first or second election. The problems that led to my leaving the party had to do with the congresses that we did, which had nothing to do with his coming in or going. And of course, you know that disagreements is normal in politics. Even in families, you disagree. That does not change who you are. So the fact that I disagreed with Comrade when I was contesting for election, and who was Comrade supporting? The governor now who says that he's a nobody was the person he had to do everything to support. And of course, I don't feel bad because whatever he said about me was meant to ensure that I didn't emerge. There's no way he would have allowed me, coming from another party, to come and take the governorship from his own party in the state. So what he did to me was fair. It was fair in war. And I hold no grudge about it. Okay, and whatever I said that time, either to defend myself or to attack him, was said in the same spirit.
So again, Mr. Ize-Iyamu, quick one, sorry, apologies to butt in.
Yes.
You were in the PDP. For some of the members or their friends in the PDP who saw you're leaving the party as a betrayer, the question again comes that what has changed since when you were in PDP and now the party APC that you strongly criticized at the time?
Mr. Sheum, the APC you are talking about now, I was one of the founders of the party. We founded the APC. I was vice chairman of the Constitutional Drafting Committee. The people you are talking about, including the present governor, they don't even know how the party was formed. I was there. So I left because of disagreement. And are you saying that if people speak to me and with time, I should not come back to a house that we built? It will be shocking if you tell me that, oh, Pastor, the house you built, a party you put together that today, is something to be proud of. You shouldn't come back. I had friends in the APC at state and national level who were talking to me. And I had time to reflect. There are many things you do in anger. And of course, at that time, I was very angry. But one has matured, one is a bit more patient in a lot of things.
Are you saying now, Mr. Ize-Iyamu, sorry again, are you saying that this is your permanent destination? Should there be any disagreement now, would you still leave?
You see, with age, you mature and you tolerate a lot of things. Patience. I'll tell you quite frankly, when I play back why I left, I realized that I shouldn't have bothered, I shouldn't have left. It was just a temporary situation. But sometimes again, you listen to your followers. For me right now, I'm not yet 60, but in my 50s, I don't see why I should leave the APC. I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable, and I believe that this is a party where I can contribute my quota to make this happen. You know,
all right.
my objective in
Let's
politics
look at
remains the
because we
same,
need to go now.
trying to ensure that our people get the best in governance.
All right. Quickly, before we go, should you lose at the primaries, would you work with Mr. Godwin Obaseki?
Definitely. I'm a party man to the core. I'm a party man to the core. But I can tell you very honestly that there's no way he can win. There's no way he can win. In fact, that's why we're so many that wanted to run against him, because we knew that, you know, beating him in the primaries was will be a piece of cake. Unless it's not Edo people, unless it's not APC people in Edo State who will come and vote during the primaries. If they are, then please forget it. There's no way he can win.
Mr. Osage Ize-Iyamu, APC, Edo APC governorship aspirant, thank you indeed for your time tonight on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.